That sounds about right. Yes.
Okay, I'll check back into your socials in about 45 days. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a ton. All right. Well, this is interesting. It seems like we're having some technical difficulties, although Gerd had no problem speaking. So maybe that was just uh, the Twitter lords, the Twitter servers. But I don't see any reason that we can't just get rocking and rolling. Let's just do it, I guess. Hopefully things will start working a bit better. And George, it looks like you're having the same problem. I'm trying to add you as a speaker, but it seems like it's not. Maybe some other people can try to request. Manny, I see you here. Uh, Javi, maybe you guys can try to request, and maybe it'll go through for you guys as it did for Gerd. But if not, things aren't always gonna go our way. So I guess we can just go. Oh wow! It looks. How was Manny able to? Hey Manny,
Hey, seems to be working for me.
that's so weird that it's like. Why is it going through for you, but it's not going through for Michelle or Marty?
What device are they using?
That's a good question. I think they're using either Android or iPhone. I'm not sure. Are you on an iPhone, Manny?
Yeah, I'm on the newest one, the Pro.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. But anyways, I mean, okay, I guess yeah, Marty. I feel like Marty is not an iPhone user, from what I can tell. I would imagine Marty's is he on Android? Marty, can you give me a clap if you're on Android? I feel like he's definitely on. And George is trying to request too. But anyways, me. It's just the Twitter lords. I guess they're only nice to the iPhone people. But hey, Manny, since you're here, first of all, thanks for all the great content you make for us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy making it and following along.
Yeah, right on. So, yeah, while you're here, is there any questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah, there was I guess there was kind of some confusion around the weightedness on the NFT distribution between round one and round two. I think, well, at least I did a little bit. I noticed a few other people did too. They were just kind of confused that like, what's the difference between one and two, um, as far as distribution of rewards that are left over after the sale ends.
Right. And the short answer is that there's pretty much no difference except that the round one holders got a beneficiary rate.
Okay.
So we know that you guys, the round one holders, they paid 350 out of for the mint. So not only do they get that proportionally in terms of the distribution, but they actually get a little bit more. So as we said, the round one holders will always get the best benefits. So yeah, that's all that it means. So say when it's all said and done, the rewards per NFT for round two are say 10,000 Teddy per NFT. The round one holders get that 2.57 bonus, so it'd be what in this case 27,500 per NFT.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. Also, like again, around the NFTs, like, is it going to be one of those like a continued thing, where you kind of have this almost like a VIP pass dealing with the project with these NFTs for round one and round two, or is it going to be kind of like how it's been with the other projects where there was an original utility and then after that it just really turns into a collectible?
Yeah, absolutely. No, we very much want this to be a long term thing, and we very much value the people of the Teddy Bears Club, especially because this funding that through the Teddy Bears Club is really what helps us launch the platform, get the audits, make sure that the developers are taken care of, and that we can launch the best protocol possible. So yeah, it's very important that long term we continue to have these utilities, and we've already displayed it a little bit like through stuff in terms of the LBE and then long term liquidity providing rewards. And yeah, we're gonna certainly look to add more utility in the future as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want to hog up time, but I mean, I have all kinds of questions.
Cool. Yeah, if you have another question, I don't see why not. It seems like you're the only one that's able to get through. So.
Okay. Well, I had a
Hey, wait one
yeah,
second,
sure.
Manny, if you don't mind. Uh, Marty, Michelle, I guess everyone, but can you guys put these in the Discord and Telegram chats? This link so people can see it. Let's see. Yeah, when we started, we just kind of started going right into it. We didn't really get a chance to send it out. So one sec. Sweet. All right, Manny, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, as far as governance, I guess there's just, especially on Cardano, there's a lot of debate about governance in general. Like, one, but I've noticed a few projects have kind of gotten rid of the noise and have pushed forward, and it was the Dexes, uh, Swap, Sunday, and then I'm going to include Indigo Protocol in there. They they seem to be they seem to grasp the idea of governance and dealing with the problems that the models have. What Where are you guys leaning when it comes to governance? Are you leaning towards any particular model? Are you going to build from scratch? What are your plans for that?
That's a good idea, or that's a good question, and the this would be a great question for Marty, but he's actually a part of a project called Paideia, which is basically like a full DAO suite, both on Cardano and Ergo. So I would say he's almost an expert in this area, and he'll be leading a lot of the governance solutions in terms of that. But yeah, he's basically more or less building uh, a solution from the ground up that not only our project can use, but any project will be able to use.
Okay. Will it cost a transaction? Uh, will there be like heat checking, or is this like something that we've never seen before?
That's a great question. I'm honestly not sure. When maybe Marty can write later the answer. I'm sure he knows what is planned. So yeah, maybe Marty, if you could maybe follow up, we could answer some follow up questions. If you could include that, that'd be great.
Hey, I have a quick question for the development team. Is there any update of us getting a detailed video how to set up a Badger node?
Absolutely, yeah. And someone brought up a good point on Twitter. What we want to do is, especially before mainnet, is set up an entire tutorial video where hopefully we can go step by step into how to set it up. So yeah, it's definitely something that we're looking forward to, and we want like the whole purpose of the badger is to make it accessible to as many people as possible, and the more people that are running the badgers, the more secure the protocol is. So yeah, absolutely, it's something in mind, and we're going to try to make it as easy as possible to set up. Sweet. Well, have Manny and Mark, you guys are like you guys have the light right now. I mean, no one else is even able to join if they want to. If you guys have no more questions, I can go in and start talking about some things. But yeah, let me know.
Yeah, I have questions. I can, um, yeah, I did have some questions about the Badger deal. Um, how many, is there like a limit, or is this one of those things where it's like you want as many people as possible doing this?
I'm gonna say that there's no limit. Again, Michelle, maybe you could speak about that. If not, I know Clark definitely could when he wakes up. But as far as I know, the more badgers there are, the more secure it makes the protocol. If that is incorrect, I'll make sure to get you the perfect answer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have another question about FISO rewards. So it's something that I personally deal with, but I've seen other people in the community express their concern with it. So I have a wallet that was not connected to my testnet whatsoever, and I went ahead and created an eternal wallet to go to the preview net and create that wallet over there. I imported my seed phrase from my other wallet that wasn't attached to it. How do you guys like recognize on the network side that that wallet's connected? That way, I get my 10% rewards, etc. For because of my Teddy NFTs, etc., etc.
That yes, and it's something very cool. I forget exactly the number of the CIP. Maybe I can quickly pull it up here. Let's see. But there's some Cardano improvement proposal from like the early days that allows you to combine the testnet address. Oh, it's CIP 8, and it's through message signing. So basically, you'll be able to connect the address, and we're making the site for people to do that now, and it should be a pretty seamless process. But so if you have one wallet where you have your mainnet address, and then you used like a totally different wallet where you have your testnet address, it's no problem. You'll be able to combine them.
I have a question. Where do you see yourselves as far as where you sit in the landscape of Cardano in the DEX world? Because we have such a I don't want to say maxi type of community, but people really love their early projects. You know, like MinSwap and Wing Riders. Do you see yourself fitting in with them and being able to exist in part with them, or does this project need more to survive?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a very strong game plan. I think sort of like with what you said, it's definitely different this time around because I would consider what we would call like the second generation of dexes on Cardano. Like if you remember back in the early days, like when something like Sunday Swap was, when they announced that they were a project in MintSwap, it was like huge news because at that time there were no dexes. But now there's dexes and they're already live. So but I think the reality of the situation is, and to no fault of any of the dexes that are live, but none of them have really been perfected quite yet. Either a lot of them are closed source, or I think a big advantage that we have is that we've been able to see how all of the dexes have unfolded, and now we can learn from them, which is an advantage that none of the other dexes really had. And that's why we really like to commend MinSwap for what they've been able to do, because they didn't really have pioneers. I guess they sort of had to watch and learn from like the Ethereum communities, but we're lucky enough to see these projects that have launched and to sort of build a game plan around that. So I think for us, we know who we are, we know who we want to be, and we think with being completely open source, trying to be as decentralized as possible, not having any insiders or VCs or private investors that can dump on retail, and focusing entirely on stablecoins, which what we've seen with Curve is a massive market. We think we'll be able to really find our niche here in Cardano, and our team is very experienced, and we're involved with some well-known Cardano projects. So we think with those things in mind, we'll be able to do all right.
Okay. You also stated in previous posts that you were going to bring ETH liquidity to Cardano. Could you elaborate on what that looks like and how you plan to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our lead off-chain developer, his name is Clark. He's a former Cardano Foundation developer, and he's also very involved with the Milkameda project, which is the bridge to Ethereum. But as far as I know, the bridge, uh, what that does is it bridges Cardano assets to the Ethereum ecosystem. But with Clark's experience, we think we'll definitely be able to build some sort of software that allows people to bring their Ethereum assets over to Cardano. So that should hopefully help bring a lot of liquidity to our DEX. And I think if that's another thing that we focus on, it's another way to be differentiate ourselves in the ecosystem.
Okay. Is that a goal, or is this something that you guys are actively working on?
We're not actively working on it right now because first, I would say it's like sort of phase two. Like right now, we very much just want to focus on making sure our protocol and our yield farming contracts and uh, our footing in the stablecoin market is cemented, and then from there we'd like to grow into really looking into that Ethereum market.
Okay. As far as the tokenomics, what type of feedback have you guys gotten from the community as far as like what that looks like? And if you need to make adjustments, like I've noticed with some other projects, they've come out with tokenomics, and based on the way the markets went and things unfolded, they discovered that maybe they had too many tokens and started to do things like buybacks or burning. Do you guys have any plans for anything like that, or any adjustments, or is this cemented in stone?
I mean, in terms of the 5 billion, which is the total number of Teddy, we feel very good about that. And the biggest reason again is that we're not really doing it so much of a guess this time. We've seen the other dexes in the ecosystem. So, and we take a look at MinSwap and we say, oh, what MinSwap's worth? I think they're nearing about $200 million right now. So clearly they've had plenty of success with that model. So yeah, we'd like to follow that path.
Okay, thank you.
Sweet. Yeah, you guys are really we appreciate all the questions you guys are asking. Like I said, if you want to keep firing, please. I can also keep talking, and if more questions come up, please just stop me at any point. Uh, but yeah, I think that's the big thing for us. We we know who we are. I think we have one of the most talented developer teams, and Clark and Michelle, and they're very experienced. And I think the advisors also have a lot of experience in the ecosystem. Myself and Marty, and everyone contributing to the project. We have a nice team, so I think we'll be able to do it very well. So yeah, the other thing we have going on, as you guys know, is the initial NFT offering, and yeah, it's been great. It's still ongoing. It goes until April 8th, and it really has helped us. Even now, we're pretty much guaranteed to have a few months of development. We know that we can get an audit, and these funds, it basically is an investment in our project and the future of TeddySwap. So we very much appreciate everyone that's participated in that, and we plan to not only have utility now, but in the long term, whether that's through uh, yield farming, and even other things. Like initially, it wasn't initially planned. Oh, we're going to have this be a part of the testnet bonus. So as maybe you guys know, the people that participated in our testnet, they were able to get a 2% bonus, if I'm not mistaken, for each NFT on the amount of points they accumulated. And then the amount of points that they accumulated was then divided by the total number of Teddy tokens available, which for this first round of testnet was 3 million. And that wasn't planned at all, but we just thought, this is another opportunity to provide value to the people that believe in our project. And we're going to continue to do that. Speaking of testnet, our testnet was extremely successful. So thank you for everyone that participated in that. I'm not sure if this is exactly true, but I have a feeling that it's the most successful testnet in Cardano history. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if it's 100% right, but I'm not sure of any other testnet that had over 5,000 different users on the project with over, I want to say, 450,000 successful transactions. And that's really all you guys, So thank you so much for that. And I think it just shows the potential of our project and the strength of our community. So thank you for that. Now the next things we have going on, like we said, things are moving along quite nicely. So as you guys know, the INO is live, but on the development side, uh, recently we had said we're coming out with the V2 of our UI. So that's going to have everything with the price charts, the orders page, the overview page, and really our goal is to make it as just a beautiful experience. Uh, Along with that, Michelle, I wish Michelle could speak more about it right now, but again, he's not able to speak. Maybe Marty and Michelle, you guys can try again, and maybe it'll work. Who knows? But he's finishing up. I think he actually just said that the yield farming contracts are done, so we're going to begin integrating those and testing those on the testnet when that's ready. But after that, and the interface updates, we're going to try to add him as a speaker. Let's see if it works. We're going to be ready for our audit. So, and we basically have two plans. One, we're going to get an official audit thanks to the funds from the INO. And then secondly, we're going to do a large public bug bounty where basically the developers of the community, we're going to heavily reward them for helping us secure the protocol, looking at the architecture and making sure everything is secure as possible. So we think both with the audit and the public bug bounty, we'll be able to be pretty successful in that department. All right, we're trying to allow Marty to speak. Let's see if it's working. If not, it's all right. Oh, all right. Hello, Manny. Manny, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I had a question around, you had mentioned the funding from the I know being used for different things. I just wanted to, what does your runway look like? What was your financial plan? Do you require continued fundraising to move the project along, or do you have enough funds to at least launch a V1, or like what's that look like?
Yeah, I think it looks like right now. We at least have at least 3 months of development, I would say. So like if the INO ends today and there's nothing else that happens at this current moment in time, I think we have about 3 months, and that should be enough to get us to launch. Obviously, the more that we can get, the better, because it ensures, say it'd be much better to have 6 months of funding, and it would also ensure like the team wouldn't have to rely on tokens initially, uh, to also have continued funding so that the developers can pay their rent and eat their food. So, but yeah, right now I think we have at least at a minimum 3 months of funding.
Okay. And what do you have any kind of like financial planning for what ifs, if 3 months from now you run out of money, what happens? Does the project stop? Do you pause? Do you begin using your own money until a certain point?
Right. Yeah. And to begin, we sort of did have to use our own money, or at least use our own time, because we started it from scratch. And as you guys know, there's no private investors or VCs or anything like that. Uh, but we would need to figure it out. I think the biggest thing that would need to happen. I don't think the project would die necessarily, because all of us, the entire team, everyone involved has been involved with Cardano for years now. So like I don't think any of us would go away, but I think what would happen is that time would need to be allocated elsewhere to pick up work. Like, especially the main thing is for the developers, So I think if there wasn't funding to make sure that the developers could, put their full time into it, then they'd be forced to, do some contract work for some other projects, which would take time away from TEDY, which would slow down the progress of the protocol. So yeah, I think that's what that would look like in a worst case scenario.
Okay. Who's actually managing your finances, and are they planning on doing, some kind of like call, monthly, quarterly, to talk about the financial state of the project?
Yeah, I suppose we could. I mean, especially with this project, we don't want to be like other projects that, the whole point is to be completely open source and completely transparent. So yeah, we have no problem with doing stuff like that, whether it's in an AMA or in a more formal setting.
Okay, I think that would be a good idea, especially with projects that everybody is probably thinking of in the back of their head. Just want to, make sure we kind of just understand and have expectations for finances.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
I also had another question around. You said that you guys were going to focus on stables, and I had asked the question on Twitter at some point. And you guys said that you guys were going to have some regular pairs. Do you have an idea of what those pairs would be? Will it be just anything or anyone, or do you have standards when it comes to that?
Yeah, we'll have some sort of procedure for it. I mean, what makes the most sense is like the popular pairs on Cardano, because we want to attract people to the DEX. So having well-known pairs would definitely be uh, good. But yeah, I mean, the main thing is really like, where are you incentivizing the liquidity? So like, the DEX in and of itself is just a DEX. Like, you can have any pairs, but it's really about, okay, where are you going to be focusing, incentivizing the yield farming, and where are the most amount of Teddy tokens going to go? And for that, it'll be the stable coins, but there'll certainly be other pairs as well.
Okay, and with these other pairs, how would the badgers or badgers play into that? Would that be separate? Would they also be batching those transactions, or is it just the stable transactions?
That's right. No, they'd be batching all the transactions.
Okay.
So yeah, we're very excited to get this launched. We're hoping it's going to be a great user experience, and I think there's a lot of great dexes on Cardano, but I think with what we're able to provide, it seems like eventually it's not always obvious in the moment the importance of decentralization and open source code. But then you have these black swan events, maybe something like Silicon Valley Bank, or any of the almost traumatic events we've seen in the past with the collapse of FTX and Voyager and all these massive projects. And I think that's kind of where Cardano's at now, where I think the community is like tolerating the closed sourced approach, because it's still a very young, fragile ecosystem. But I think as history has shown, eventually people are going to see the absolute importance of open source code, and that ultimately the DEX that can truly be the most decentralized, truly be the most open source, and be the most transparent should be the one that wins out. So yeah, that's our approach, and hopefully a lot of projects, and not even DEXs, because these contracts can be applied to different things, can take our code and turn it into something beautiful. Hopefully, this can help sort of springboard a ton of development in the Cardano ecosystem, and there's a ton of open source developers that are doing just that. Uh, there's projects like Aiken, and even Spectrum Finance. Man, we're huge fans of Spectrum Finance, everything they've contributed to the ecosystem, and they pretty much cut our development time by probably, I don't know, 75% or something, with what they've contributed to the ecosystem. So yeah, we're very grateful for them. It looks like Mark has a question. Welcome back, Mark.
Yeah, Manny brought up a good point about the batchers. So if you guys add liquidity via the Ethereum network, did you have a solution for the batchers being interoperable with those transactions? Like, did you think about this prior?
That's a great question. Honestly, I have not thought about that at all in terms of what that would look like. But what we can do is have Clark get us a more refined answer. But the way that I would foresee that off the top of my head is that we would basically be batching, or like the open source batchers would be batching the transactions once the Ethereum liquidity was turned into Cardano native assets. Cool. So I can keep going on a bit more. So yeah, another thing. PluTS. Michelle will be very upset if I don't mention PluTS. It's a wonderful framework that he's built, and all of the contracts for V2 will be written in PluTS. Michelle, if that's wrong, please just slap me over the head or something and tell me I'm an idiot. But I think that's right. And so yeah, but it's an entire framework to make smart contracts easier that Michelle built from scratch. And I can't speak highly enough about him. He's very talented. He's very well known in the ecosystem, and basically for V2, which is going to have all of the invariant formulas. That'll be done entirely using ClueTS. So hopefully with that open source framework, Cardano developers will also be able to take that and keep building on top of that. And, the biggest thing is that we very much believe in Cardano. It's one of the only, when you look at all the cryptocurrencies out there, there's not many that are actually that, what we would call quality projects. So, what our team very much believes in is you find the blockchains that are the most meaningful, that give regular people the most hope to see a better future, and you cling on to those for dear life and try to build the best things possible. So that's what we're about at TeddySwap, and we're looking forward to our mainnet launch. So if no one else has questions, I feel like we pretty much went through everything.
I had a question as far as the open source approach and the a lot of the the feel good, do good mantras out there. What do you guys have planned as far as for the project itself? I know a lot of the kind of closed source or semi-closed source projects are like kind of selling something to generate revenue or profit for the, the platform. Do you guys have that kind of in mind, or is that is this open source approach just that it's just kind of just free for everyone?
So when you say, what do you mean by other projects are selling stuff?
Like for instance, like maybe Sunday Swap has this governance model that they plan to shop maybe and make money off of, or you have Oracle projects that actually sell feed data to kind of generate revenue for itself. Do you guys have any kind of like self revenue generating model or services that you plan on offering?
Yeah, for sure. Not directly, but I think that it shouldn't be entirely confused. Like, of course, I think a very beautiful thing about life is that like incentives are often tied together, or at least the right ones. And yes, of course, while uh, like open source is very important and anyone can use it, and being the most decentralized possible is, how we have a brighter future. That's also tied to the value of the protocol. So, like, for example, the reason that Bitcoin is one of the most valued assets on the planet is because it's entirely open source and because it's entirely decentralized. So, and although yes, it's so yeah, I think the two are tied together. So I think with our open source approach and being entirely decentralized, that itself should drive the value. So, we're not too hung up on, oh, we're gonna keep this closed source and projects are gonna pay us a fee and that's gonna generate revenue. Uh, yeah, we think the protocol itself uh, is what should drive the value. And we think on top of that too, you have development, you have a great protocol, but uh, I think the other X factor that we have is that we have a lot of skills that you can't copy. Like anyone can copy code, but not anyone can build a very strong community around a strong mission with a great brand. And I think that's something that we're doing, and hopefully we can continue to do so. So I think with those sort of things, we have a strong future ahead. So hopefully that answers the question a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Sweet. All right. So does anyone have any final? This AMA kind of took a turn. It was supposed to be Marty here, Michelle here, but unfortunately it didn't quite work. I was even trying to join from my account and it wasn't working. But oh well. What are you gonna do? Well, sweet. All right. I guess if there's no more questions, we can wrap it up. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining. This was great. We're definitely gonna try to do these more often. Hopefully with less technical difficulties. But we really appreciate the support so far. Like we said, uh, I'm extremely proud of what the team has done so far. You know, not only with getting the Dex on testnet, but you know, writing beautiful documentation for the Badgers, writing the yield farming contracts from scratch. What I would say is successful INO so far. And as you guys said, or as we said, that's still ongoing 2 or 3 more weeks. So if you believe in what we're about and you believe in the future of our protocol and most importantly, our team, please consider participating in our INO. And outside of that, thanks to our community. I mean, it's amazing. Even given the dexes that are currently live, it seems like already we're getting some of the most engagement and what I would say one of the strongest communities. And I think that's shown, like I said, uh, I'm not sure if it's the largest testnet in history, but you know, we've been around for a while, and I'm not sure anyone that's had that success. So, like I said, over almost 5,000 users and easily over 400,000 transactions. So, yeah, we're at a great place, and thank you so much for all the support. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.
So that was the Teddy Bears. I think this was their first space. They had a little bit of technical difficulties. Would have been really neat to speak to some of the more technical guys, the developers, things like that. I asked a decent amount of questions. The stuff that kind of floated in my head, I didn't want to, you know, with the speaker having to kind of deal with the technical difficulties. I didn't want to like hammer him too bad, but I did want to get some questions, some hard-hitting questions answered, and to kind of start up some organic conversation around the project, what the internal group is doing, what their ideas are, what angle are they coming from, the things that they possibly believe in. They definitely, in my opinion, you know, from the conversation that we just had, I feel like they are more of a like an ethos driven over profit. And I mean, it just really depends, you know, upon like he's like the question around revenue generation for the project or the protocol. They seem to be more of like a boomerang approach instead of directly going out and generating revenue, creating, you know, kind of operating like a company or a business would. They seem to believe in the more of the kind of just throw the boomerang. What they put out into the world will kind of come back to them eventually. More of a, I guess people would call that more of a dreamer's approach. And that may scare some people, and I understand, but you know, it is what it is. We're early here in Cardano. I'm really interested in the interoperability, their approach. I got a good, you know, the question I had were they actively working on something that would make that or bring that to reality? And they said that that is not the case. They're looking at doing that. I guess they have a lot of connections to Milcommon, perhaps enough to help develop something around that. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not sure if they know what it looks like, but I would love to talk to some of those more technical guys that have that kind of vision or those thoughts in their head and see, like, kind of track that and see what that ends up turning into. But for right now, they're focused on V1, getting the protocol up to be able to make your swaps and be able to yield farm. So that is kind of what I'll be focusing on. And then kind of probably making some content around the kind of the dreamy stuff in the background, the V3, the V4, what that looks like, what interoperability looks like if it's possible. So pretty good space, under an hour. So again, if you made it this far, thank you for checking out the stream. We'll go ahead and end it here. Hit that like, hit the share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.